What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Wine in the Stars. I'm Jordan, and we are back today with another episode of Fett's Vette. One that I am both nervous and looking forward to. When we last saw this piece, I was really proud of the work that I did. And as I look at it here again a couple weeks later, I am still very proud of the work that we did. The idea today is we're going to be taking these lines and not having our brushes roll. We're going to be taking these straight lines and taking our weathering brushes, going to grab our paint, and then we're just going to come around the edges and try to give it a more weathered effect and just take away some of those straight lines. So that's going to be the name of the game today. I'm actually pretty excited about it. I'm curious to see if my whole thought process for how we're going to approach this was legit. So let's just go ahead and get into it. I'm going to start on the smaller piece because I'm afraid. So we have our color here that we mixed up. It's a custom color. I went ahead and took, as just a reminder, I went ahead and took our whole red from Vallejo. It's their model air. And I went ahead and just mixed in some red with it. And it's pretty pleased with the color. And really, when I'm looking at it here in the daylight, you know, it's definitely like a nice rusty color. And I was able to get some real nice highs and lows out of the paint. I'm really pleased with how this whole process turned out. And so I'm curious to see how this process is going to turn out. A little nervous. So we're just going to take a little bit of paint here. Okay, so now we got our paint in there. Now I'm going to go ahead and try this with a smaller brush here. And I'm going to go ahead and get my trusty towel here. So we're able to dry it off. Although probably a piece of paper towel might have worked a little bit better for this. But here we are. As you can see, I've done some damage to this towel over time. This is my first time using this style of brush. It's my first time attempting this. Let's see how we do. So I'm going to get my paint on the brush. Go ahead and dab as much of that off as I can. And I'm just going to kind of come through here around the edges. How interesting. Because of the thickness of the paint, I might have to come through here a couple different times. Oh, how interesting. Cool. So I'm going to kind of do a stipple. All I'm doing is just trying to get her here around the edges and try to get away from any straight lines. And I'm curious, once again, I'm not sure if this is going to work, so might have to come through because there's 3 coats here. Might have to come along and add more color as we go along. It's probably a little bit too wet on the brush. I'm learning right now, y'all. I am learning. This is something that I've been a little nervous about, to be real. I've kind of delayed shooting this one all week. Just because, you know, I'm not quite sure. But I think we should be good here. I'm just going to have to come along a couple times. And so I'm not going to focus too hard on getting super in there. I'm just going to focus on kind of getting some color onto the areas where I want to make sure that the straight lines go away. And just wherever I feel that we need to get some color on. And I gotta say, not sad about this right now. Obviously, we gotta match up, but I'm actually not really sad about this right now. Okay. This one is pretty good. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw a little bit of color around the edges. Leave a nice little light spot there in the middle. Okay. Do the same thing here. Really, my job right now is just kind of get some color around the outsides. Start to blur the straight lines a little bit. And we're going to keep doing that as we go along. Okay. All right. I think this is going to work out. I think. We'll see. That was in the way. So. Now, if this wasn't such a custom color, I'd probably just use a straight pigment. And it would probably offer a little bit better coverage, but I'm curious. This might actually work out more for what I'm looking for. Once again, no plan. I'm just doing. I'm thinking about it, how I was going to approach this. Yeah, okay. Okay, Shosha. Just trying to get some color over the top of the edges. Blur those lines. I'm just going to keep making that approach. I wonder how many coats this is going to take. I gotta say, this paint went on really nice on the brush, and I'm curious to see how many coats it's going to take. But I'm pretty pleased with that. Pretty pleased with that so far. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to our other piece. Yeah. I was really, really pleased with how this whole effect worked out. And now to be adding more to it, I'm a little less nervous as we're going along here. Knowing that I'm just going to have to take a little bit and I'll be able to customize it. Just trying to get some color on there without getting too much color on there, if that makes any sense. Very good. I'm trying to focus on making sure I leave some highs and lows. Even though I'm trying to layer it, I think if we leave highs and lows and we focus on that on each layer of this, it'll do a good job of taking away our straight lines. I really like this color too. It turned out really good. Nice and rusty, which is exactly what it's supposed to be. There we go. Give myself a little bit more color here. And you get some proper paint supplies here. Using portion cups from work is not really working, if I'm being real. So, happy with the level of paint that I got on the brush right there. But not happy with how wet it is, so I'm kind of like, what do I do? Okay. I'm going to live with that. I'm going to see how that does. I'm going to experiment a little bit here and go heavy. It's really heavy. This is so cool, like, learning. I'm just like, I'm out here just like experimenting and trying right in front of y'all. I'm just like, you know what? I want to try this too. So I'm going to try approaching just heavy on the paint. Really like trying to like push into where we already got our paint in there. Let's see how this does over here. I wonder how this effect's going to work. Something tells me it's not going to be a bad idea. Really get some pigment in there. Around the edges. Okay, so now I am going to quickly just kind of get some heavier paint in here. I'm going to give this about 15 minutes under the fan to dry, and we will be back for the next round of paint. Alright, we're back for the next coats, and what I did in between is I went ahead and took a little bit more of our color, and I went ahead and added some of the base to it to darken it up just a little bit, and then up here I just have the base. We will see if I need to like use any of this. I just wanted to kind of give myself a little bit more of a dark color, so I could possibly like do one of these and maybe tap off into here, so we'll see. I did see here why we don't want to go super heavy. I got a lot of like wet paint around the edges here. I'm kind of curious as to see what this is going to wind up doing. I wind up having some paint run, so not going to do that. We learned, but we will figure out how to deal with that. So let's go ahead and see how this turns out here. So tap off your brush, Jordan. And once again, I'm just going to come around the end and attempt to blur the edges. And that's the approach I should have been taking with that last section that we did, but learning, doing. Once again, the whole point is just to blur the straight lines at the end here. Okay, a little bit better. Yeah, having a little bit of the darker color in there is helping. Just a little bit more of the base. And I mix probably like 20 drops of the color I created with about 10 drops of the base. That's a little bit more what I'm looking for. And we'll see. We'll see how this turns out. I'm curious. A little bit there. A little bit too. We are going to wash this after we're done, but I don't want to have that many lows. Yeah, that's a much better effect of what I'm looking for. A little bit of the dark into a little bit of the color. Dry it off. Just come around our edges. And I've already thought about how I would have reapproached this differently after watching a few tutorials and such. So, I know. I'm learned. But also make this model kind of unique. Is what I'm telling myself. Okay. let's go ahead and move on to our next piece. Curious though how it's going to react around the area where I put too much paint. So once again, I'm learning and doing. How I would have, however, reapproached this is just by pre-tape, like pre-cutting my tape. I have much smaller tape now too before I did this. So I would have pre-cut my tape. I would have like made my designs before I put them down. That's how I would have done it. And then probably done maybe one base coat. A really nice light coat of the base coat of this rusty color. And then and then come back through and put some tape down on those spots. Once again, though, I was pleased with how the paint turned out. There's nothing wrong with it. I've already thought about how I would have approached it, especially after watching some tutorials and talking with some of the guys. So, I had a lot to learn still. I'm excited for it. And who knows? This may be an effect I try to replicate again in the future, but like I said, I've already kind of thought about how I would reapproach this next time. Well, that one just got... that happened. This is working the way I want it to. And like I said, we'll apply several coats of this and see how it does. Make sure I dry my brush off here. I already have an excess of paint here. I'm going to try to work on pushing in here. Do a little bit more of the stipple effect. Try to get some of our dark into these spots down here. Dark is definitely helping blur that straight line. And by dark, I mean just the base. The more whole rust color. Like, I don't mind a straight line here and there, but what I'm trying to avoid is some 90s, stuff like this. Any obvious super straight lines. If I have a straight line like right here, not a problem. There we go. A little more dark, a little more of our light. Tab it off. Push it in. Yeah. Get around the outside here. And of course, if what I'm doing is stupid, also please let me know. Just gotta be real. Alright. So I'm going to take care of now making sure that there's not a whole lot of that base gray that's like super out there. Okay. We're starting to get there. I'm going to go ahead and give this 10-20 minutes underneath the fan, and we will be back. You know, sometimes you just get lucky. I applied a third coat off camera, and I was like, I'm probably going to apply a couple off camera just to kind of like move the process along. And then it got a little dark, especially when I added the darker paint. And so I was like, oh no, here you go. And so I started like trying to clean it up. And in the process, found my weathering technique. Sometimes just get lucky too. So, I don't know if you guys have ever played Fallout, but on your special skills, right today, my luck is currently probably running at about a 7 or 8. So, all I have here actually is my acrylic thinner, and I'm going to take my flat brush here. And I am just, like, first up, what I did, I'm just going to go ahead and repeat the process. What I did was like, okay, I need to loosen up the paint a little bit so I can pull some of this off. And so, in the process, it also smoothed out some of the texture of the paint as well, because I had some high and low points, like, almost visible. So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to go ahead, and once again, I have no idea what I'm doing, by the way. So I don't know if this is a technique, but this is what I did, and it worked. So what I'm doing is just taking the thinner and going over the top. And my thought was I'm going to smooth out the paint that got a little high and a little low. And so I'm just going to repeat the same sort of process. I went ahead and taped off because we're going to be painting that gray here at the end of the episode. And then weathering it up a little bit. So all I'm doing is getting the paint a little smooth. Alright, so now I have my weathering brush, my very small one, and I'm going to go ahead and dip it in here. Now, the issue that I was having was that we have these high points, and they're like really, really high, and everything's kind of square. And I was trying to avoid that, and I was also trying to get more weathering around the outside. And so what I'm doing is I'm just taking my thinner, brushing it off a little bit, might dab it, and then I'm just going to take my brush and just start massaging it. And what has wound up happening is the effect that I'm getting out of this is kind of exactly what I'm looking for. So, now the thing that I'm not going to do is I'm not going to talk over this portion of it. So I'm just going to go ahead and do my weathering work, turn up the music a little bit, and we'll be back to talk at the end. So I'm going to kind of cut in a little bit here. I'm using the edge of the brush, kind of the metal part, to scrape as well. And it's really getting the effect that I want. I really want the edge around here where the ship connects together. I want the effect to be that these panels have been removed a bunch of times. And there's a lot of outside weathering around the outside. I replicated that really well on the other half, and we'll show you here at the end. Really proud of that. I've been looking at it for the last couple minutes going, oh man, dude, nice job. I was really surprised. And really all I'm doing is just kind of like brushing. I'm just trying to pull up whatever of the dark extra paint that I could find, and then just smoothing it out. Like I still want the paint to be there, but if I can really bring out a low point without directly like trying to just get a square edge out of it, which is what wound up happening, I'll be happy with that effect. Yeah. So like here where we have kind of like an actual triangle shape and some darkness around it, I'm going to just kind of basically pull that lightness from the middle and then find one point, just pull it away. Like a scrape happened. Just like that. So right through here, I want to pull through my tape line. Smooth it out. Yeah. I really like that effect. Okay. So, let's take a look at that from an aesthetic standpoint. Still a little bit of work to do right here. Still see my tape line a little bit, so I'm just gonna go ahead and pull any tape lines that I can see. Pull them and pull it through. Okay. Pull and raise the edge here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lightly go over the top of my panel lines. Find a spot where I want to bring one of them to the top. Then, before I move on to the other side, I'm pretty happy with that result. Come back through here with my thinner and just smooth out my paint. Yeah, I'm pleased with that result. Totally random, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. And I'm just pulling away any excess paint. It's not needed. Very good. So now, let's go ahead and get over to the other side. We're going to start by, I guess, softening up the paint, smoothing it out. I'm trying to press down to lift any of the like really high paint that's really just up there. I am going to focus on all of my dark spots first. Right here specifically. And we are just going to scrape through here. I want to leave some of that really high stuff too. Yeah, just pull that through. A weird little weathering effect right there. Makes me happy. Let's go ahead and get through here. Just cut the edge of one side here. Once again, I'm just trying to erase any of the evidence of where my tape lines were, in essence. Or at least pull the eye away from where they might have been. Very nice. Once again, I'm going to focus around my edges here, where she makes contact. And I think I'm going to go for a big empty splotch up here at the top. Just like so. Lean into that one right there. Pull the rest of the excess away. There we go, yeah. I like that. I'm going to leave it kind of connected right there. Only a little bit of the scraping around the outside. Just like so. I really want to lean into this panel that it has been removed a bunch of times. So right down here at the bottom. Kind of through into there. Scraping off right here at the corner. Wrecking this brush, but I'm going to be using this brush for this purpose going forward. I like this technique. Seems to be working for me. At least for this model. Yeah, that's nice. And I'm just going to try to pull away the rest of this high paint. Go on the top of the grill. Loosen some of that up. Come over my panel lines. Yeah, I like that. Alright, so now let's see what happens when we smooth out. I left it a little messy. I want to kind of see what effect we get here. Oh yeah. I like that. Pull some color back over the exposed base. Yeah, definitely get some color off there. Alright, so now, smooth her out. Very nice. Okay. I gotta say, I'm pretty pleased with that result, actually. A little high point right there. That's fine. It's no worries. Yeah, I'm pleased with that result. There we are, dry on the other side. Very nice. So, let me show you the side that inspired my madness. And on the other side, here's our results. And I gotta say, I'm pretty pleased with how that one turned out. what I did is before I went through on this side, and on the other side, as I went over with the darker paint, just over the lines. And then, of course, like cleared it off, but man, turned out really good. I gotta be honest. Both sides together. Oh man. All right, I'm gonna let this dry up for a second, and then I'm gonna tape off my my rusty side, and we're gonna go ahead and apply our German gray. We'll be right back. All right, let's go ahead and get some of this gray on, and man, I'm really looking forward to doing the same kind of effect here. Although I wonder if it's gonna work with the lacquer. I'm sure it will. So let's go ahead and give her the old try. My big smooth flat brush. Gonna load it up with some paint. And then get a nice bead on there. Think I got any paint? There we go. There we go. I love this stuff. Trying to be as smooth as I can. I need to pick some more of this up. That's great. So I need to get some NATO black. Very nice. Okay, so I'm going to give this about 2 more coats off camera, and we'll be back to do some weathering. All right, so I went ahead and tossed on 2 coats of paint of our German gray, and it turned out pretty good. Let's go ahead and peel our paint real quick, or let's go ahead and peel our tape real quick. Let's see how this turned out. Oh yeah, very nice. Very good. Happy with that result. Okay, let's see how the other side turned out. Let's go ahead and see how the other side turned out. Great, it turned out great. Wow, look at that. Alright, yeah, that turned out really good. Nice juxtaposition of color. Nice split of color there. I like that. Okay. Now, I don't know how this is going to work here. Let's go ahead and find out. So, I have my lacquer thinner. Let's go ahead and grab my detail brush. Weathering brush. Get some thinner on there. And let's see. Okay. There we go. Pulling up some paint at the top. I'll be a little less aggressive with my weathering here. Try to find my panel lines. This is interesting. A little different. Did give the paint a little bit of time to dry. I'm gonna try to focus on one area and then focus on another area in a straight line, just to kind of pull some of that paint up at the edges. Interesting one. I don't know what that is all about. Oh, probably just the paint being pulled. Yeah, it's pulling a lot of paint off. So it needs to be a little bit more on the damp side. I'm just going with the natural brush strokes. Create a little bit of weathering, but this is definitely different. Okay. Yeah, it's okay. This is definitely different. Obviously, they're different types of paint. I may have to approach weathering a little bit differently here. Hello. I got my brush. Just a little bit more damp. Let's see what we can do. Not so sure about this. I think this works with acrylic, not lacquer. Let me know. I think that look at that though. Pulled a ton of paint off. See if we can pull some from the edge here. Okay, hold on. Might be onto something here. I'm going to try to keep all of my weathering going in a straight line here. Come around the edge here. Interesting. Well, we learn, and I'm not totally sad with that odd result, actually. And when we come around and we do our wash, I'm gonna try to use. I have some pigments on the way, and I'm gonna attempt to weather up that way. So I think we have set out what we accomplished to do this week, and I gotta say, I am pretty pleased with that result. So let's go ahead and bring our pieces back, and this is how they're gonna look sitting together. You know, it's not too bad. Not too bad at all. So, let me know what you guys think. Did I actually pull something off? Did I make a mistake? Let me know. I think this turned out pretty well, especially for just kind of the the dumb that I did in the very beginning. So, I just want to say thank you. New thing I've been doing lately with my videos, I have been including all of my colors and equipment used down in the description down below, so please check that out. And I just want to say thank you. I know there's a million things y'all could have done today. Instead, you spent a couple minutes watching me build a model, which I think is pretty damn cool. If you guys have any questions, comments, tips, tricks, please leave them down below. If you'd like to support the channel, please like and subscribe. And my friends, until we see each other again, I hope you all have a wonderful day in this beautiful world wherever you happen to be. And just remember that you are one with the Force, and that the Force is one with you.